If you have been struggling to get sales from your design work or understanding what you really need to do to make money, I have the workshop for you. On September 23rd, I'm hosting my first ever Profitable Designer Workshop. This 1-day, 3-hour workshop is only $97, but I have a discount for all my podcast listeners. Go to carinagardnercourses.com/profit and put in the code podcast for $50 off. I can't wait to see you more profitable. Welcome to the Make and Design Podcast. I'm your host, Carina Gardner. On this podcast, we're unraveling the everyday joys and dilemmas of design, making, and business. For makers who want to be designers and for designers who are makers, this is your inside scoop to help you grow your business and bring more creativity to your life.
Hey guys, today I am here with Gracey Larson. Gracey is a fellow Riley Blake designer. You guys know I love having my Riley Blake designers come on here. And it's actually been super fun because I didn't realize, like a dummy, that she was a Riley Blake designer until she actually had this wonderful reel showing how to do something. And I was like, dude, that is so smart. And then I go click on her feed and I'm like, oh, straight up, she's a Riley Blake designer with me. So it was so fun. And I immediately sent her a little thing. I was just like, will you come on the podcast? Because this will be really, really fun. And she was just telling me she became a designer around the same time as Amanda Niederhauser. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. In fact, we were booth buddies. She had been to Quilt Market before, I think, but when, I think it was, fall 2019 before, the world imploded, we were both at Quilt Market showing our very first fabric collections, and we shared a booth at the Riley Blake area. So that was really, really fun. We were both showing our first fabric collections at that point.
That's so fun. This episode, we're going to get to know Gracey more, but even more, she just informed me she has like over 400 designs in her Etsy shop. So you guys, I'm going to go there because I'm like, anyone who's
I'm a little crazy.
Yeah. Anyone who's prolific, I'm like, how did you get there? How did you become prolific like that? Because that, to me, that is a sign of success, right? Like producing. So Gracey, do you want to tell us a little bit about us? Like tell us a little about you. Like, how did you get from here to here? Like point A to B?
Yeah, well, I'm a fourth generation maker. My great grandma quilted, my grandma sewed, my mom does all the things. She cooked and made hair bows. So I kind of grew up around creativity. And from the time that I was able to hold a crayon, like we have home videos, it was crazy. I was always wanting to do crafting or making things. In fact, my mom and our sentimental stuff, my brother and sisters, their piles are like, they're decent. Mine is like, because of all the projects that I made for my parents over the years. So I've been creating forever, and I started knitting and crocheting as a teen. Not your typical teenager, obviously, but I love knitting and crocheting, but I really wanted to get into quilting. So I took a trip with my sister out to visit my grandparents in 2009. I was 19, and my grandma taught me to quilt on that trip. And ever since then, it's been my forever creative love. I just adored it. And my first quilt was a sampler quilt. That's kind of what introduced me into the quilting world. And that kind of grew my love for samplers and picture blocks and blocks that told stories that meant something. And that kind of launched me on my own block designing. I design mainly quilt blocks. I do full quilts, but quilt blocks are really my passion because I like being able to design blocks that quilters can put into sampler quilts and projects that tell pieces of their story. That was one of the things I noticed when I started quilting was I wanted a block that represented when I lived here or when I did this or this memory. And oftentimes I would look up like block for camping or block for Tennessee or block for something, and I couldn't find anything. So over time, I think that kind of inspired me to start designing quilt blocks. And yeah, the rest is history. So I learned to quilt in 2009, and then 2015 is when I actually started designing.
So, okay, so I haven't seen your Etsy shop. So if you walked, like if I opened up your Etsy shop, like what would I see? Just these blocks, individual blocks?
Yes, I design blocks that, some of them, my earlier ones come in 6 and 12 inch, but starting last year, it's so funny, timing's so little anymore since 2020, but last year I started doing 6, 12, 18, and 24 inch blocks all in one pattern. So if you go into my Etsy shop, it's all block focused. There are some full size quilts that I've designed with my fabric collections and such, but mainly you'll find quilt blocks, and you'll find everything from dog breeds. I think it's like 40 something different breeds of dogs and quilt blocks. They're all traditionally pieced, no paper piecing. That's just not my cup of tea. Um, and yeah, you'll just find a whole bunch of different outdoor theme, like mountains and campers, and dogs and animals and all the things. Whatever kind of inspires me at the time is when I design. I'm getting ready to start launching Christmas. We're about to go into Christmas crazy. So, and I think that's probably my big outside the dog quote block, probably my biggest category of Christmas. I love doing Christmas. So we're about to go ham for Christmas.
That's amazing. Okay, so tell me, like, what are most people doing when they come to your shop? Are they like, I want this block and this block and this block because they're building their own quilt? Is that?
Yes. Sometimes I think they go into my shop and they find like a puppy that looks like their puppy, and they're like, I have to have that block. So I think that happens a lot of times where they'll find ones that they want, but they'll save for later. Sometimes I've had people reach out to me that are nurses or that work with animal shelters or different things where they're making a themed quilt. So like a nurse will go into my shop and they will get, a couple of the nurse themed ones, some of the medicine ones. You'll get somebody who loves the outdoors. So they want the camper and the lantern and I can't even think. It's all the different outdoorsy ones, and they'll build their own sampler. So you'll have ones that, yeah, they'll go in there just out of curiosity, and they'll one like touches their heart that reminds them of something, and that just makes me happy. I just like that's kind of my whole mission is to design quilt blocks that remind quilters and help them tell their stories in their quilts. So they'll see one that brings back a good memory and be like, oh. So that makes me happy. But you'll also have people that go in there and they are building their quilts, so they'll take from each category.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Like, I haven't even really heard of anyone doing it quite like this, right? Like, we see lots of people who have blocks, but we put it in a quilt. Like I do, mine are full quilts, right? I don't really sell very many blocks, but like, I love that it's almost like going into a jewelry store and choosing all your beads, right? Like, you're like, I want this bead and this bead. And so you're creating this custom piece of jewelry, but for you, it's a custom quilt. Exactly. I am dying. I love that so much. And anyone can go to your Etsy shop to go check this out.
Yes, if you search under Burlap and Blossom Patterns, which is my business name on Etsy, you'll find it all there. I just find Etsy is a little bit easier for people to find because a lot of people are already shopping on Etsy. So I'm constantly growing my Etsy shop, and it's all there. And yeah, you're exactly right. I love being able to give people the option to pick and choose. I also have sets where if you buy like it's a set, it's discounted just because there are more patterns in there. But yeah, you could totally go in there and just pick like, your dog, something that reminds you of your family, something that reminds you of your trip. So yeah, it's very, very custom, and that's kind of my heart. So.
Oh, I love that so much. Okay, so the other thing is, you guys, if you want to find her stuff, I found her on Instagram, and it's also Burlap and Blossoms Patterns, right?
Blossom Patterns, yeah. And I'm huge on Instagram. Like Instagram is where I do most things. I try to blog, and I'm trying to get my YouTube channel up, but Instagram is definitely where I do the majority of my posting. So
I love it. Okay, tell us more about you, because you told me I was like, wait, where are you from? So tell us more about that, because I think that informs the fact that you do this cool block thing. It's because you've been lots of places.
Definitely. When people ask, where are you from? Because I've never really know how to answer that question. Because I'm now in my 7th state. I've lived in Missouri, Colorado, Ohio, Tennessee, California, Arizona, Idaho, and I hope I'm not leaving any out, but I think that's all of them. And so for basically sea to shining sea, I've lived everywhere, and I've loved it. And it really inspired a lot of my quilt block patterns. And, it's funny as I look back over the years, I was also homeschooled for the majority of my schooling career. And I think that really gave me the platform I needed, the environment that I needed to be creative and be myself without that peer pressure and a lot of stuff that can come with the school environment. And it just kind of allowed me to grow and blossom without that fear. Just gave me my totally creative environment that I needed to grow. And so between that and then living in these 7 different states and seeing all these things and the different geography and culture and architecture and all these things, it really has inspired a lot of my fabric collections and my block designs. I basically never run out of ideas. I keep a notebook by my bed. It's bad.
That's amazing. And where are you located now?
I'm in Idaho right now.
Okay, whereabouts?
In the kind of southeast corner-ish, that kind of area. I mean, Idaho basically, you hear about North Idaho, Western Idaho, and Southeast, the Southeast kind of quadrant. So.
Okay, awesome. You're not that far away from me, is the bottom line. You're like
a
few hours away from me, which is so fun. We were just talking about, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I was just gonna say I actually passed. I'm sure all of you and Riley Blake and everything, because we came here from Arizona and drove literally the entire state of Utah from bottom to top. And I must say, just throwing this out there, if you've never been to Utah, it is the most amazingly beautiful state. It was incredible to drive that, and it was in the winter, which was crazy, by the way. But it wasn't snowing, so the roads were clear. It was a winter wonderland, gorgeous. Just throwing that out there. Visit Utah.
I've only lived here for, I think it's been 12 years now, because I'm from Tennessee originally. So that's why it's just like, I don't ever think of it, but I have family in Idaho. So, and we were actually just there for our fall break, and it was so beautiful. So like, so gorgeous. So, oh my gosh, this is so fun. You guys go check out her Etsy store, Burlap and Blossoms pattern. I'm going to give you guys the link to make sure that you guys get it, because you're going to want to go check it out and make your own custom quilt, which is amazing. And if you didn't catch it, we have an episode before talking to you about her most recent fabric line, so make sure and check that out. We're also going to do another episode in the future, and I'm actually hoping we can actually catch her at Quilt Market, because we've just finally started talking about Quilt Market and what we're going to do there, and we've got some special things planned. So you guys, thank you so much, Gracey, for coming on, and we will see you guys soon.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.